session.
Welcome back to episode 7 of the 9 Degrees podcast, the number one non-educational, education-themed podcast in the world. We may have 9 degrees among us, but we still don't know much about anything, and we'll make sure to keep you guys informed about the most interesting current events in the world, but make sure you use a fact checker because we definitely don't. As always, I'm your boy Jerome. We got Maddox, we got Jackson, and unfortunately, Jared's not here this week, so we're 3 degrees short, but that's okay. That's okay. We're still going to do an episode. Remember, you can catch the audio version of this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere you can find podcasts. If you're an audio listener and you want to watch the video version, look for that usually one day later on youtube.com/Jerome Vaz. Make sure you're following us on socials at 9 Degrees Pod, and come and join our classroom on Discord. We chat in there. We can talk about current events as they happen. Guys, class is now in session. Welcome to, I feel like we need to get more in character for this podcast, you know? So
Okay.
I'm going to try something here. I'm going to welcome you guys to Homeroom, our time of the day where we can just share our thoughts. It is a safe space. I don't really like that word, but safe space. We can gripe about anything. We can talk about anything and just share what's going on in our lives. I've got a major gripe this week about myself. So I was at a wedding over the weekend, and we were having a good time. The wedding DJ was absolutely killing it with the music, and I just happened to see him over by the bar. And I thought to myself, oh my God, this is the same guy that DJ'd my sister's wedding last year. And I don't know what came over me, but I decided I'm going to walk up to him and tell him that and just be like, hey, you DJ'd my sister's wedding. And so I did. And he literally looked at me and he was like, okay, cool. I do like 3 weddings a week. I don't know. And I was like, oh, but it was special. It was an Indian Japanese wedding. And he was like, literally no response, and instead talked about how he did a Filipino Korean wedding last weekend and proceeded to tell us how the bride and groom met in hip hop dance class and had hip hop choreo at their wedding and showed me videos. So then I just felt stupid. And I was like, what? Why did I do that? What came over me? That was so stupid. I don't know. Do you guys ever have these awkward like interactions with people where stuff like that just ever happens?
Yes, I do, but I also feel like you just got gaslit into thinking that you were in the wrong there. Like,
Wait. Was I not? I just felt very stupid.
How are you in the wrong, though?
Yeah, because he gaslighted you.
I guess I'm not. Just afterward, I was like, why'd I do that? That was
Because
so dumb.
you're questioning that because he made you feel bad. If he had been like, oh yeah, your sister's wedding, I remember, like, it was so, you know, you wouldn't have felt bad if you responded that way.
I love this. This. The professor's got my back. The professor's got my back. You know what? You're right. F that DJ. It's his fault.
Well, I mean,
it's his job.
It's hard to say.
He's paid to be there.
Yeah, it's understandable that he does a lot of weddings, and it's probably, but then it's also like, if an old client like came up to me and I started being like, just completely disregarded them and act like I didn't know them, and then talked about some other client that I had a great experience with, that's probably a pretty not cool thing to do.
You guys are making me feel good. Thank you. I appreciate it. What else? You guys got anything for homeroom here?
I don't unfortunately today, but since this is a safe space per se, I've been posting some content on my own channels. So just a quick shout out to myself.
That's true.
We got at Maddox_Southard on YouTube and TikTok. I actually haven't posted anything there yet, but I got some stuff in the works that's gonna be there soon. And at Hannah_Maddox on YouTube and TikTok. Go check us out.
Oh dang! You made a second YouTube channel for it, so they're completely separate.
Yeah, I initially was trying to I just wanted to do everything on one channel, and then I don't know. People started talking about how I started hearing about how the algorithm doesn't like that. You know, it wants you to have like a niche and that type of thing. So
Fair.
I don't know
Fair.
how much truth is to that, but I mean, I kind of wanted to separate some of the stuff out that I'm doing.
Yeah.
So the Hannah and Maddox one is going to be more like family friendly stuff, you know, with our cat and
A little couple
you know,
TikTok.
like
That's
yeah,
cute.
like some trends and like traveling and stuff like that. And then mine will be focused more on like the everyday of my life businesses, more like the businesses that I run and stuff like that. So
Yeah, I feel you. I feel you. Check out Maddox's channels at Maddox_Southard or at Hannah_and_Maddox. It's a mouthful, but hopefully you've got fingers and you can type it in on your phone easily. Jackson, what about you? You got any gripes or anything for homeroom?
No, not really. I'm working weird hours right now, so I have a lot of time in my mornings these days, which is it's interesting. It's like it's kind of almost refreshing in a way, you know.
Do you have a nice little morning routine you want to share with us?
Wake up late, play video games. Occasionally, occasionally go out and play pickleball in the morning, which is different. It's, not as hot in the morning.
Nice.
I see different crowd of people. So I mean, it's just like it's kind of like my life is like completely reversing,
Yeah, I feel you.
Fun fact: Jeff Bezos himself says that he starts his day by puttering, which is basically kind of like that. Like he doesn't have any meetings or anything till 10 a.m. and he just kind of has the mornings free and does whatever he wants.
Interesting.
I believe it. What, you gaslight me, dog?
No. I believe it. I believe it. I'm just saying, when you have a multi-billion, almost trillion-dollar company, you can probably do whatever you want.
Maybe that's how he got his company.
Speaking of companies, we should get a bell, so then I could be like, bring, and then we like go into first period. You know what I mean? We should definitely work on that. Someone assistant work on that. Anyway, let's move right into first period with yours truly, Professor Jerome. I'd like to talk about some things today. First, are you guys familiar with the concept of like quiet quitting? Have you heard this?
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's essentially like this idea that millennials or Gen Z, like people that are fed up with their jobs, they're not quitting their job, but they just like don't work as hard anymore until you potentially get fired. Is that a fair explanation?
It's whenever you already it's whenever you're already like have another job, you'll just quiet quit and just not say anything and just wait until you get fired, and just literally not do anything and collect double paychecks.
Ooh, I hadn't known that people were doing that. That seems illegal.
I don't think it is.
Seems smart.
Well, okay. There's a new idea now called quiet vacationing. More about companies' PTO policies. So mainly 78% of the U.S. workers are saying that they don't use all of their PTO days, and that number is even higher amongst Gen Z and millennials, mainly because it sounds like, our generation feels a lot of pressure to meet deadlines and to be productive and get real nervous to ask for PTO because they don't want to look like a slacker, right? I think that's fair to say. Like we've all seen those charts of like, increase in worker productivity over like wages, and productivity is like out the roof over the last 40 years. So it makes sense. The counter argument here is that millennials are also more likely to just move their mouse to show that they're active, but not really doing any work, not really getting any work done. And so there's like this workaround culture to figure out how you're always going to get work-life balance. And that's what they're calling like quiet vacationing. You could be in Aruba and just flick your mouse a couple times throughout the day and make it seem like you're still on the job, right? And let me pause there for a second. What are thoughts? Or is this a real problem? Are people actually doing this, or is this like the small minority that are ruining it for the majority?
I'm just curious as to what job do people have where moving a mouse is like convincing some employer that work is being done.
Well, like on like Teams, or like Slack or something. I don't know if Slack is a desktop app. But
this is all foreign to me because we eat what we kill.
You're not in the corporate machine, man.
Yeah, no, like it's like
Yeah, Maddox, I
I'm
think
not
it's sort
collecting
of,
a paycheck if I'm
I
not
think it's sort of
working.
different for you because you have a very sort of like get out there kind of job. You know, if you don't show up to
Yeah.
a house or like an open house or whatever, people are going to know. Whereas in a lot of corporate jobs, there's jobs that are like very sort of dispensable and people get paid for this stuff. And so whenever you have those kinds of situations, it's like if that person just suddenly falls off the face of the earth, it might be a couple days or a couple weeks before someone notices. And so I think that's really where the quiet quitting can sort of like get its benefits, or it can exploit the system.
Yeah, and I understand that. I just, as I do sometimes, like to point out this bigger picture, like why do we have jobs like that? If it's that dispensable, why is it?
I guess my example first to that question is I don't necessarily think the job is like that. I think the job is still a typical 40-hour week job. But, if you have done all your work for the day and like sent it off, the traditional employer expects you to still be online for the next 4 hours a day, even though there might not be work that is assigned to you, or, or you may be waiting on someone else or whatever. That being said, I want to play a video for you guys and get your thoughts. This is a TikTok video that was shared on my Twitter account. So let's see how this goes.
You have absolutely got to be kidding me. First of all, millennials try to create just a smidge of work-life balance in their lives by saying, hey, by the way, I'm no longer going to be going above and beyond. I'm just going to stick to what's in my job description and what I'm actually getting paid for. And they wanted to call it quiet quitting. And now that we're saying, we're probably not going to be able to retire. So, hey, why not just go to the pretty places now? We can still work and we can still get the job done. And they want to call it quiet vacationing? No, absolutely not. This is exactly why millennials are fed up with corporate hustle culture and ditching it in droves, because you want so badly for us to go back to your old ways of doing it. We tried that. We tried the hustle, and guess what? It did not pan out well for us. We are completely burnt out, and you will not be shaming and guilting us to going back to this old way of doing things. I don't know where you got this story from, Miss Jennifer, but it is garbage.
Garbage.
Okay, but what are your thoughts here? Because I'm not gonna lie, I kind of agree with the guy, man. There, a lot of these jobs you're expected nowadays, especially in like professional services and stuff, to be available 24/7. We were talking about this last week with investment banking. You're expected to, when there is work, always be available. It's not just a 40-hour week job where you get to go home and just relax anymore, especially with like the rise of remote work and hybrid work type culture. So what are we just going to keep saying that you get all your work done and you're putting in 40 plus hours a week and that's not enough? Like, to my earlier point, like, you want me to be sitting at my desk twiddling my thumbs, not doing anything if there's nothing to be done because I did it all?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like there's a twofold problem. Like, there is the problem, like, yeah, if there's not work to be done, you shouldn't be expected to be on call or whatever. Like, I think, at least.
I think I can speak to this. There were times where, and I think I would usually tell my boss, but there were times where I would like go somewhere that wasn't my home because I wanted to go like on sort of a vacation, like, vacation when after work hours, like I would go to like Virginia or I'd go to New York or something, and I'd still be working during the day, but in the night I would go do my vacation things. And I think that was fine. And that's actually one of the benefits of remote work is it enables that to be done. And I think it's good for sort of worker satisfaction. I think from a perspective of, and then, bringing in that other perspective that like, well, if I get all my work done, and this is kind of another thing that remote work has benefits to, is like, if I get my work done, why should I be forced to like sit at a desk doing nothing for 4 hours? Why can't I just, I go out and maybe check my phone, see if there's anything major that needs to come up, So that's where I stand on it.
Right. And I think you actually bring up a good balance of, if you're wanting to do, quiet vacationing or whatever you want to call it, like go up to New York. Okay, you're in the Airbnb or you're in the hotel from the hours of 9 to 5 doing your job, but then you can still do fun New York stuff at night. I think that's a good compromise in my personal opinion. I don't know. I have another one for you guys, another video. So similarly, this girl is talking about how in more junior roles, it is impossible to get promoted. Let's see why.
My conspiracy theory, the hill that I will die on, is if you are both good at your job and a pleasure to work with, like you have a good personality, you can generally get along with people, you will never be promoted. You will never be promoted out of a like hardworking, more junior position where a lot of the hard work exists. Let me explain. If you are in an executive suite, you do not have to be a pleasure to work with or good at your job, right? You don't have to be either of those. If you are at a VP or like director level, you can either be really good at your job or a pleasure to work with. You don't have to be both. And sometimes people are still neither, right? But if you're down here where all of the actual work is being done, it's not being directed, it's not being strategized, you're doing the literal work, they will never allow an employee that is both good at doing the work and good at keeping a smile on their face while doing the work move up that ladder, because they know they can keep serving you shit on a platter and you'll eat it with a smile. I don't know how to get out of that cycle, but I believe in it.
Thoughts on that?
I feel like there's some truth to it. The point she was making about executives not being a pleasure to work with or good at their job, I feel like I don't know. I probably need her to give some more color on that one. But
I think a little bit of a stretch, I agree, but I think the theory makes sense. Like if you're an executive, you founder of a company or whatever, a high-ranking executive, like you don't have to be a pleasure because there's nowhere for you to move up. When you don't have to be good at your job because you're like the decision maker, it's probably rare that someone would come in on top of you, over you, and fire you or something. Maybe not super rare, but more rare than a standard employee getting fired, I would say.
So my question though is, if you're in her situation, do you just start being an unpleasant person to work with? And
No. Well, so I have two thoughts on this. I agree with her point that it's just, if you're a pleasure to work with and you're amazing at your job, then I personally don't think that like you're not going to get promoted. Like I feel like my stance is like, I would like to believe that companies are good, and like most companies like to keep their employees happy. And so that being said, like most companies I would think would still promote you. Am I being crazy in saying that? You guys are both giving me crazy faces
Maybe wishful
right now.
thinking.
That seems like a pretty optimistic, yeah.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, but that's...
Well, so let's call that wishful thinking then. On the flip side of that, I can totally understand her point, because if you're really good at your job, you're a hard person to replace. And so if they promote you to a managerial role, like how are they going to replace this excellent worker that they just had on the bottom tier, you know?
I think the point though is that it's like entry level tier work though, so that it probably is replaceable. There's probably some new young graduate that's eager to fill that role. Obviously they're going to need to be trained and stuff, but
well, I almost think what she was talking about was more like, I mean, I don't know, maybe I think of everything in terms of like client services these days, but almost like a consultant or like an analyst that is like doing the number crunching, like doing the, you know, analysis, doing the PowerPoint slides and all that. And it's just all these layers of decision makers above them that are not letting them be promoted because they're good at what they do. You know what I'm saying? I don't know that it's necessarily like an entry level job per se. I don't know. But going back to the quiet vacationing thing, I feel like, okay, you have all these disgruntled employees for various different reasons. Why not let them quiet vacation then? You know, let them be hybrid work. Let them work from Aruba if they want to, as long as they're getting their stuff done.
There's a lot of companies out there.
Again,
that
am I being crazy?
Sort of like having more control over their employees, and that's kind of just how they operate.
Yeah, that's probably also true. The last thing that I'll say about this is, when I used to work at Eastman Chemical Company, one thing that I really liked about their employee model was they really understood that, not everyone can be a manager. And so they had this technical advancement route where you could become like a senior engineer, advanced engineer, principal engineer, whatever, that came with like similar pay increases to the managerial route, So if you're an engineer and you've been there 30 years and you enjoy your job and you want to be doing the technical work, you don't want to be like a manager, you could still be making 150, 160, which I thought that was great. And I think maybe we should consider adopting that style of model in, generally speaking.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's a productive way to think about it. Like, okay, so if you're that person, that girl that, was saying that she's stuck in her place.
Yeah.
But she's executing everything in that role that needs to get done, like, maybe she just, she should get pay increases as time goes on. But then, there's always just going to be like, okay, at what point can we just pay someone less to do this?
Yeah, that's true as well. And that was, I will admit, one of the problems at Eastman was, during like 2018 and stuff, when layoffs would happen, it was typically the people closest to retirement that they were paying a stupid amount of money that would typically get cut first. Not even like laid off, but they'd be offered like a voluntary early retirement package. Because they're expensive to keep around, and someone younger and cheaper can do the job. I got another one here. Red Lobster announced bankruptcy, just filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. How do we feel? Did we go to the Red Lobster growing up? Actually, I don't even know if there was one in Maryville.
Was the Beyonce song Formation?
What? What are you talking about right now? What?
If you know.
I need the lyrics. Someone pull up the lyrics right now.
I guess I don't know.
Get
I can't sing the lyrics on this
at
podcast.
The Red Lobster. What?
Pulled from the algorithm.
Yeah. Okay. Well, they're saying that they're filing bankruptcy because of private equity mismanagement? ? So let me give you guys a little bit of a timeline. There was a private equity firm called that bought Red Lobster in 2014. And one of the biggest mismanagements they're saying was this concept of a sale leaseback. So what they'll do is went out and bought a bunch of Red Lobsters, right? Or they bought the entire company. And Red Lobster at the time owned a bunch of their property that their restaurants were on. In the purchase of the company, they sold off all of the assets for cash to pay down some debt, and then immediately entered into a triple net lease with whoever they sold it to lease the location back. Now, that's not uncommon. Mm-hmm. It happens all the time in like my industry, even in like private equity backed firms. A lease back is a common strategy. And typically, like, ideally it's to remove some debt from the balance sheet, or like reduce like financing costs, if you have a mortgage or blah, blah, blah. So they sold off all the real estate for $1.5 billion, but the question mark was they rented all of the properties back at above market rates. And Red Lobster was already a struggling business in terms of profitability. And so they were struggling to make ends meet. That's part one. Let's pause there for a second. That's the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard in my life. Why would you sell off all of the assets or all of the property and then lease it back for more than the mortgage payment was? It doesn't even make sense.
Well, to start, I looked at the lyrics, and Jackson, I can't believe you were the one out of all of us that knew that was
Beyonce. What can I say?
What'd she say? Can you say it on the pod, or
it's pretty vulgar?
We'll cut it out. We'll cut it out. Say it.
I closed it. It's like when I take his ass to Red Lobster.
What? You're telling me Beyonce said that?
Yeah, and that was a popular song. She did that at the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Wow, I can't believe I didn't know that. That's
you think
crazy.
She said that at the Super Bowl? That would have been crazy.
Yes, she performed that at the. Oh, maybe she censored version.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, you said are we getting into the details here, or do we just need to?
Yeah.
I
Give
mean,
me the
you said
details.
they leased it above market rates, but
Yeah.
that doesn't necessarily say that it's higher than the mortgage payment was, because we don't know what the mortgage
here's the
payment
problem.
That's
I
a good
think
point.
with
That's a good point.
what Red Lobster's strategy is. Whenever they sold these properties, who's the only company that sort of could potentially rent these is Red Lobster, and Red Lobster also needs them to maintain their business. So I think Red Lobster really screwed up in their strategy here. They really set themselves up to be exploited by this venture capital company or whatever.
Yeah. It's an interesting point. Maddox, you bring up an interesting point. Like, we don't know what the mortgage payment was. You're right. Maybe the lease was lower. I will say the other thing is, with a triple net lease, like, they're responsible to pay all property taxes. They're responsible to insure the building. Like, they're responsible for everything, you know? So it is a lot of extra money. Whereas maybe if you owned the property previously, you would have, I don't know, you would have had some more like free cash flow. The argument against is maybe they had a ton of debt on their balance sheet, and then they've sold off these assets to pay down some of that debt. That is also a fair assumption to make. Let's talk about why this got even worse. So in 2016, remember, bought them in 2014. In 2016, enter Thai Union. They are a global seafood company, produces and sells frozen and canned seafood. They bought a 25% stake in Red Lobster. And they were already one of Red Lobster's biggest suppliers. So kind of a weird dynamic here. A supplier owning the company that they're doing business with. A little strange. Maybe it happens more commonly than I would think in my head, but it feels weird to me. Later, ended up selling all of their ownership to Thai Union and some other people that made up like a conglomerate. And as a supplier, you know, they clearly had an incentive to increase the amount of shrimp that Red Lobster bought. I don't know. Sounds a little sketchy here.
Fishy.
Little fishy. And to no coincidence, they ultimately ended up doing that ultimate, what was it called? The ultimate endless shrimp deal, right? And they didn't care if Red Lobster didn't make any money from it, because Thai Union made mad money, you know? They basically just forced Red Lobster to increase the amount of shrimp that they were purchasing. And they just had like an outsized control of how much shrimp they were purchasing. You know what I mean?
This story's whack, dude.
I know. They even fired 2 of their other shrimp suppliers. I know. It is kind of funny. Like, why are we talking about shrimp? Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. Big shrimp is killing the game right now. But yeah, so essentially Thai Union was able to force Red Lobster to remove its shrimp suppliers and then force them to buy more shrimp from them. And, you know, they didn't really care if Red Lobster was profitable, because, like, they're just going to keep buying shrimp from us, you know?
Until they aren't.
So I don't really understand what happened here, but clearly it's stupid. It's just bad business. Also, Thai Union, they're not like restaurateurs. They don't know how to run restaurants, you know? They're just shrimp moguls.
Well, I mean, one is just interesting to see all the shenanigans that can go on behind the scenes of something like a Red Lobster. Also, are we sad about this? I'm
actually, I'm sad. I love Red Lobster. I've been one time in my life.
Okay, so I mean, is this not an opportunity for a new seafood restaurant to come in and
not to get sort of off track here, but this sort of story, it reminds me of something else, a similar sort of business takeover for real estate purposes. Greyhound Bus Company, which has been around for a long time, but notably has been struggling for like probably the last 20 plus years. I believe they were recently bought. I don't know the exact details, but I think that the company was recently bought out, and as well as like their real estate holdings for their bus stops is what they are, which they've had for a long time. Those are recent. Something related to that. The company was bought out, and the reason that the company was bought out by the venture capital company was to get those real estate holdings and to sort of just sell them off at like really high market rates because Greyhound Bus had been holding those for a long time and they had accrued a lot of value, and now Greyhound Bus is sort of like they might be gone or they might be on their last legs, but yeah, that's kind of a desolation of sort of a lot like a major sort of transportation company for sort of silly reasons, real estate holdings.
It just goes to show you that bad management is bad management, you know?
Not even bad management though. It's like sort of exploitative
very true.
practices.
Here's the future of fast food though. I experienced this week or last week. I should have talked about this in homeroom, but I went to show a house late because my client worked till 7 p.m. So we had to go after that. And it was about an hour away from home. So I had to drive out there. And this buyer
and then you saw at Dollar General.
No, but I've been told that Dollar General is a bad place. So I retract my previous accolades that I gave them. I don't know if that's the right word. Anyway, this buyer wanted to write an offer, but it's already late and they already have another offer on the house. So I have to get it to them as quickly as possible. So instead of driving all the way home and writing it, I just find a place to go sit and write it.
Yeah.
And there was a Zaxby's. So I went to the Zaxby's and I'm sitting there at Zaxby's and there's a big poster board cutout of Mr. Beast. And
he's got the Zax box or something now.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay, this is the future of fast food. Like they partner with Mr. Beast. You order the little box and you get a Feastables bar with it. And it's like, okay, this is just brilliant.
I agree.
And then he's got like the Beast Burger too, where it's like restaurants are like making.
Yep.
So he's figured it out where he doesn't even have to deal with the real estate. He's using other people's real estate.
Yeah. No, you're right. Now, maybe he's the one that comes through and saves Red Lobster. Maybe they got a Mr. Beast's unlimited shrimp deal or something.
I mean, I'd probably buy it.
Did you buy the Mr. Beast Zax box?
No, I had to try the new fried shrimp first.
I wonder if it was from Thai Union.
I didn't even intend that, but that's kind of
so funny. All right, I got one more article I want to talk about today. And it's dealing with the country with the red flag and the wall over in the east side of the world that apparently we can't say its name because YouTube keeps shadow banning our videos for using their name. Anyway, you guys get the idea of what I'm talking about. So last time we talked about the forced TikTok sale and TikTok bans and why I personally think it's a horrible idea. Blah, blah. I have a whole list of things I disagree with, and I don't think it's a national security concern. I just think it's anti red flag country sentiment. But I have a list of some other things that are getting banned. Okay, so first to start off with some examples. In 2019, Huawei passes Apple to become the world's second largest smartphone manufacturer, closing in on Samsung. In 2019, the US banned all Huawei products. Interesting. 2022, AI becomes the most important tech, and AI needs a lot of semiconductors. In 2022, the US bans sale of semiconductors to insert country with red flag. 2023, TikTok becomes the top social media app in the US. 2024, the US bans TikTok, right? We've got more. 2023, BYD becomes the world's top-selling electric car producer. 2024, the U.S. just recently set a 100% tax on all red flag EVs, effectively doubling their price, right? 100% import tax. Wild. And then also 2023, Shein, Temu. I don't know if you guys have used these sites. I haven't necessarily used them to order clothes, but become the world's #1 and #2 clothing retailers for how cheap their products are. 2024, the U.S. is now discussing the ban of Shein and Temu. And now, Maddox, this one will be close to your heart. There is now the official name is Countering CCP Drone Act. and it's to ban all DJI drones. I didn't actually know this. DJI is a red flag company, and the DJI stands for, some words that are in another language that I don't know. But yes, there is now unanimous approval by the House Energy and Commerce Committee. First off, why the fuck is it the Energy Committee that's deciding anything on drones? That doesn't make sense. Who gave them power over drones? I don't know. Jackson, am I crazy about this one? Is that the right committee to be giving us drone advice? Okay, cool. But so this would add them to the FCC list to make them essentially not able to have communications, like their communications technology be used on the US grid, which effectively makes them not usable because, the communication and like the flight of the drone itself, like via smartphone and all that stuff is through airwaves and stuff. I wish Jared was here today because he could explain how communication technology works, I guess. But my question is, at this rate, are we going to have any products to use? Because like most of our shit is made in China, right? Ooh, I said it. I apologize. But I'm just like, we're banning everything now? What's going on?
I mean, I think
the drones
what's going
makes
on
me mad.
Is that there's U.S. companies who are lobbying our government and saying, hey, ban these products from these countries. One, well, the reason they're saying is because, they're from China and there's national security risks. But the actual reason why is because, as you said, they're becoming the most popular in the world in the U.S. And, we can't have competition, not in a free market.
Yeah, I mean, but it's just interesting, though. Like, we're incentivizing monopolies, right? Like, and then we all know, like, first off, monopolies illegal, but here is the U.S. government and legislators forcing monopolies. That's funny. And we all know, like, monopolies are absolute worst for the consumer. There's lack of innovation and lack of, like, price controls. So what are we doing? I just don't understand. I looked at briefly looked at other like possible drone options, and the tech in them either sucks or they're significantly more expensive than a DJI drone. So
yeah, I just got one of the DJI Mini Pro 4. Link will be in the description, and it's sick. It's like, it's so easy to use. It has just like incredible features. You can like, you can like scroll. You can highlight an object, like a human or a car, and it just follows it automatically. Yep. It avoids objects on its own.
Yep.
Takes great pictures, great videos. It's just, I don't know. It's just, it blows my mind that you can buy a product like that and it's like affordable for just like, I'm just, I'm not like a professional photographer or something investing in this asset. I just have some various use cases where, real estate photography, taking some car footage, wanted, and it's a great product. So it makes me mad that our government's trying to tell us that we can't use them. Also, the mics, you have the mics too, right?
I've got a couple of their mics.
Yeah, they're good. They're good mics.
They're really great. And luckily, like, they're not saying the company itself is going to be banned in the U.S. or anything like that. Though, if they're citing national security concerns about these drones and about TikTok, maybe they should ban everything. Like microphones. Oh, microphones can pick up sound. So I don't know. But for now, it's not the entire company. It's specifically just the drones. So I don't know. We'll see. It is interesting. Also, I lied. I had one more thing that I briefly wanted to talk about. Comcast introduces a new streaming bundle. Includes Peacock, Netflix, and Apple TV for $15 a month, which is 35% cheaper than those three things separately on their own. So Apple costs like $10, Netflix with ads. These are all the ad-supported versions of these products, right? The only caveat is you have to have a existing Xfinity/Comcast product to then be able to buy this as an add-on. So I looked it up. What is the cheapest possible Xfinity product that you can buy? It's internet. I think it's like 50 megabits or 70 megabits a month. and it costs $20. So really, the price of this thing is like $35 is the cheapest option. Still a pretty freaking good deal, in my opinion. However, here's my problem. Xfinity, not available everywhere. Not available in my area. So, I can't get this no matter what. And like, even my apartment complex, like the internet comes with the complex. So like I can't get Xfinity even if it was offered in this area. Well, it's a little disappointing, but I don't know. My main question here is, are we going back to the era of cable TV, of cable networks,
Yes.
and everyone's just bundling everything? And then what happens? Like, are we just going to see prices continue to go up? Because
I feel like the problem we're facing now with streaming is that there's so many different services, and then if you're trying to get access to everything, it's like,
it's like $140 or something.
Yeah, and then it's like, okay, I think the next step is like, who can consolidate this into one single product,
right?
Which I think is a good thing. I mean, I would much rather just be like, all right, I pay for this, and I'm gonna have access to everything, And then also you could still pick and choose if you wanted to, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like this is probably just a first iteration of it, and someone else will probably do it better.
I think the ad-supported tier thing makes me upset because, like, I don't know. Who's using ad version of Netflix? I don't think anyone. That seems like not even enjoyable to me. But I guess that's how they offer it for cheap, right? But you're right. Everyone is starting to do it. Disney and Warner Bros. Recently announced a ESPN, TNT, Fox Sports package together. It's going to be called Venue Sports, and it's going to offer sports stuff and live sports as well. Disney Plus, Hulu, Max just announced a bundle together. That one hasn't been named yet. No prices. But, I mean, lots of things happening in the space. I think Sony's also in talks with Paramount to buy, like, all of their entire portfolio, all the channels, which includes, like, I think Comedy Central, MTV, also Paramount Plus. So lots of things happening in streaming. I hope it's for the good and not just eventually going to get more expensive, because what I don't want to happen is like with this Xfinity thing, you get it for $35 a month, but you have to sign a 1-year contract, 2-year contract, and then after X number of months, the price skyrockets. Because that's how this stuff used to run, right?
Yeah, we seem to be in this sort of like infinite cycle of like, new innovation, then the market sort of corrects, and now it's everything's bundled. And so I'm curious to see what the next thing to come along that will sort of break this cycle or maybe start it anew. Who knows?
Well, should we take a little bit of a break and pay some bills? Okay. Big news. As always, we've got And Collar, not an official sponsor, but an affiliate of the podcast. And Collar is an affordable men's clothing company where products are sustainably made with the equivalent of 15 recycled plastic water bottles. Their shirts have 4-way stretch, are machine washable, liquid repellent, and wrinkle and stain resistant. You can go to andcollar.com right now. That's ANDCOLLAR.com right now and get 15% off using code 9degrees. That's code 9degrees for 15% off. That's new. Last time it was code Jerome. You can use code 9degrees now. Thanks to And Collar, as always. Also, if you want to join the conversation with us, the professors, on things that are happening, come and join the Discord. The link will be in the description below. It is completely free. You can get our advice, thoughts, commentary on current events in the classroom. And we would love for you to come join and chat to us. Let's move on into a second period with Professor Maddox. What do you got?
I feel like we should have had a buzzer there too. Professor Maddox.
I'll work on, like bring, bring.
Crypto news. SEC approves 8 Ethereum ETFs, which was kind of surprising to me. Because last time I talked about this, it was seeming like it wasn't going to happen. So we got that.
So what does that mean? If they're approved, like they're trading already?
No, trading will start in a few weeks.
Okay, I mean that's still very soon.
Yeah.
But when is Bitcoin going to hit like $1 million? So then I'll be a millionaire. You know what I mean?
I'm bearish. I'm bearish. Bearish stocks, bearish crypto for now. So
you've been saying that for the last 3 years to me.
Well,
I'm just
eventually
saying.
I'll be right.
No, that's cool. I know there was a huge push when the Bitcoin ETFs happened. I do agree with you, like in terms of market like timing. Who knows what's going to happen? Like I feel like right now, like just general outlook on the market very different from when the Bitcoin ETFs were approved.
Well, also like, I mean, if we're looking at prices, you know, we're the Bitcoin ETFs kind of marked a top, and this now we're kind of at a double top type of thing. You know, these type of things, I don't know why, but like historically they indicate like tops in the market. So that happened when the futures contracts came out. That happened when the futures ETFs came out, which was a couple of years after the futures contracts.
Yeah.
So I don't know. You know, none of these things are like perfect signals or anything, but I think there's generally like a ton of crypto hype pushes the needle on the products that, you know, bringing the traditional products to crypto, and then by the time they get there, it's like the hype's fizzled out a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, just
I feel you.
I think in crypto that's kind of one of the most noteworthy things that happened, and it's a good thing too. I mean, it's good to be able to have access to Ethereum in a traditional structure now. I
agree.
It'll be interesting to see what products come after this now, you know.
Yeah.
Bitcoin was obvious, Ethereum was the obvious next one, but like honestly now I don't know what.
Yeah, I
don't know
was
what's
hearing
next.
rumors about Solana, and then now I'm hearing rumors that like the Fed or whoever the SEC is saying like we would never do that.
Well,
so I don't know.
Solana specifically, I feel like there's a lot of like sketchiness around Solana because of the FTX thing. FTX was very much entangled in Solana.
But it's a top 5 asset, right?
Yeah, and that's obviously like where I think that's where the next ones would come from, like just the largest cap assets.
Right.
But there's just so much differentiation between the ones that are out there. So
yeah,
I think that'll be interesting to see. So we'll keep our thumb on the pulse of that.
Maddox, can we get a confirmation that you're going to purchase $20,000 of Ethereum ETFs on the pod?
I mean, if someone gives me the $20,000, I'll do it for them.
All right.
Not with my own money. Not right now. At some point I will. I'm a crypto guy at heart.
Guy.
I'm just also a practical guy.
Yeah.
So, AI stuff. Let's get into some AI stuff. So OpenAI strikes a deal with the Wall Street Journal owner News Corp.
Pause for one second. Did you just call it OpenAI?
OpenAI.
But you said OpenAI.
OpenAI.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Didn't mean to derail the conversation there. Go ahead.
I'm not meant for this. What is this job?
Presenting, hosting.
Is it a job?
I mean, some people do this. Some people do this as a job, like a newscaster. Yeah. I don't know how people do that. That would be the hardest thing for me to do. OpenAI.
There it
is.
Okay, did it again. Okay, OpenAI.
This was yours, dude. You tell us about it.
No, dude. What's happening right now? The facade of the podcast is breaking in front of our eyes.
The fourth wall.
Yeah, the fourth wall is breaking. Maddox is letting it break. No, I just thought this was an interesting article. It was essentially saying that OpenAI struck some licensing deals with News Corp, who owns the Wall Street Journal, the New York Post, the Daily Telegraph, etc. And the deal could be worth like $250 million. And they already have inked licensing deals with the AP, the Financial Times, People, Politico. And I just thought it was like interesting timing for this to come out because we know from last time that they're in the middle of like this lawsuit with the New York Times and the Chicago Tribune and all these people about copyright issues. So my question is essentially just like, is this the solution? to copyright infringement. Just have licensing deals. Obviously, newspapers and like print media in general is just dying, while on the flip side, OpenAI is making more money than it possibly ever could have thought. So yeah, maybe does this save print media?
Well, my question is like, what are they licensing? So like, and are they licensing the content of their database of articles for the model to be trained on that, or are they licensing ChatGPT or whatever to,
like a search engine, like search it?
Yeah, like, present their content to people that are searching type thing.
It's a good question. I assume that it's the former. They're licensing all of their database to be part of the training set.
Because we've talked about,
I think that's where
in previous episodes, how that like you said, the lawsuit, that's where that's come from. So this seems actually like a very creative solution for OpenAI, that they're actually sort of putting their money where their mouth is and going to these news companies and offering to license. Yeah. And you don't even need every news company. You just need maybe a large handful, and you have a good pool of data source.
Well,
yeah, totally.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is like a good creative solution, and I mean, it's definitely like mutually beneficial. Like,
right. Also, just think about like I don't know how much the lawsuit is for, but how much money are they going to spend on the lawsuit against the New York Times? You know, I mean, maybe it's not 200 million, but it potentially could be if all of these sources were like suing them. You know, so instead of paying it in a lawsuit, like pay it to the companies directly. I don't know. I think it makes sense.
Yeah, and it says that for both of the cases that I brought up, it's for both. It's for the training data and to be used, like directly recommend the content to users.
Interesting.
Or reference it, I guess, when it's when it does its searches and references.
And that's another thing is that with the references, that has the potential to, like you said, stream back. What was it like? How would I say it? It gets people to click on news articles, and sort of that's another source of readership for these news sources. So mutually beneficial.
Yeah, it's getting them exposure, like in a new way.
Yeah, that's true for sure. Good luck to OpenAI. We'll see what happens. Did you also see, Maddox, where that was it their co-founder Isla something like stepped down?
Yes, I did see that.
Do we know any details about that? Like, what was the deal?
I did not dive into that one before this.
I mean,
episode,
I'd love to know the tea. Like, I would love to assume in my head, just as like a consumer of entertainment, that someone stabbed someone else's back. He got ousted for trying to get Sam Altman ousted, and then came back, and now it's like a whole like Targaryen family thing going on. You know what I mean?
Maybe, but reminder: we don't have fact checkers.
Oh, I thought that's true. I thought you were going to say reminder. We don't have dragons. I don't know why. That's where my brain went. All right. I'll give the floor back to you.
Well, yeah. Sorry, I didn't look into that one. Although I did see it. I mean, we could look it up right now. Does someone want to Google that while I?
Jamie.
I did have this though about an ex OpenAI board member revealed what led to Sam Altman being ousted a few months ago.
Okay.
So basically, the board didn't know that ChatGPT was going to be released, and then they found out about it on Twitter. Like that's how like little information Sam was like giving the board.
I hate when that happens.
I'm confused. When Sam was ousted, ChatGPT's been out for forever.
No, but this is reasons that led to him being ousted.
Oh, got it.
This is like why the board had beef with him.
Gotcha. There was something else that like was the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah, and and then additionally was withholding information and misrepresenting things happening in the company. Told just blatant lies, and just overall was making it just extremely difficult for the board to make sensible, educated, informed decisions. And so that led them to this notion that he's probably not the right leader to bring artificial general intelligence into existence, which is the supreme objective of this whole AI thing.
Like he's too secretive, essentially. Can't be trusted.
But I mean, this is, an ex-board member, so maybe there's, some bias there. But yeah, that was the first I had heard of somebody talking about what caused that. And I guess that's not I don't know. It's interesting because when that happened, the employees of the company very much rallied behind Sam. The whole company was going to quit if he wasn't reinstated. So the employees really love him.
And is that the main reason why they brought him back so quickly? I mean, this thing lasted all of 36 hours.
Yeah, for sure. It was like, okay, well, the whole company's going to just fall apart if we fire him. So,
good for him. I mean, listen, if you guys try to oust me, this whole podcast is falling apart. I'm just saying.
Well, something else that Sam Altman did wrong. He used Scarlett Johansson's voice as a ChatGPT
I heard about this
voice,
too.
Which do we know? Is it actually her voice? Surely, it just kind of
So no, my understanding, and I don't know if this is a rumor. We don't have fact checkers. I will say this again: we do not have fact checkers. My understanding, based off the Twitter sphere and what I hear on the streets, is that they approached Scarlett Johansson to use her voice, presumably because her voice was the AI voice in the movie Her. Maddox, you mentioned that the other day.
Yeah.
She said, no, I don't want to do it. So then they supposedly, and this is the part that I'm not sure how exactly it went down, supposedly they went and bought the rights to her voice from the movie Her and just used the voice from the movie to then train the ChatGPT voice. So they bypassed her altogether because she doesn't have rights to the movie. If that makes sense.
You got to give them creativity points for that one.
I guess so. It's still rich people will always find a way to find a solution.
So yeah, she's upset about it, and she's getting legal advice currently.
Yeah, I don't know what the legal ruling on this is, because technically, from a legal perspective, outside of the fact that she said no, maybe there's a consent issue here.
Well, my guess is the ruling is going to be the company that made the purchase. They already did the research and they know that they're in the clear, and the woman who's getting legal advice is probably not going to get anywhere with this.
Right. Also, just to clarify, Jackson, you referred to Scarlett Johansson just now as the woman getting legal advice. You are familiar with Scarlett Johansson,
yes,
right?
I know her. I've seen her.
Okay, I'm just making sure. The way you said it made it sound like she was just some random lady walking around on the streets.
I'm just saying that she doesn't have. If I had to bet on who's going to win legally, I'm not betting on her. Oh, that was unintended pun, by the way.
Which is rare for Jackson. Usually they're intended.
Wait, I don't get it. What's the pun? I'm not betting on her.
Her.
Oh, got it. I'm with you. No, yeah, I think I agree. I tend to agree with that. I mean, I hope at the very least the outcome of the lawsuit would be she has to get some sort of royalty for it, but I'm sure that's probably the agreement with the movie, or I don't know.
Well, on another OpenAI topic, they have signed another deal with Apple saying that they're going to provide chatbot functionality in iOS 18, which I'm excited about because I don't know what chatbot means. Do we know what chatbot means? In my ideal world, Siri would be getting updated with a more ChatGPT like a higher caliber AI system.
Agree. I
don't know if that's what this is. Chatbot doesn't sound to me like that's the same thing.
I feel like a chatbot is when you visit a website and there's a little thing in the bottom right corner that's like chat with me, and then you can like ask it your questions and stuff. I feel like that is a chat bot. And I don't know that I necessarily want that just on my like Apple operating system. Like, what
do you all use those chatbots whenever they're offered to you?
No,
I exclusively use it when that is the only way you can contact support, and it annoys me every time. I mean, it's better than email. I'll give it that. I found that, but
I don't think they work very well. I'm just generally not a fan.
I've never had the chatbot resolve something for me. But
it'll connect you to an agent who then does something for you.
I mean, some of them don't even do that anymore. And
really?
Yeah. And I'm like, all right, come on, guys. Like, we need to have.
They're like, have you checked the FAQ section?
I don't mind email. Some people are like, they need to call somebody. I understand why, it takes a lot of resources to have a platform where customers can call another person at all times. And honestly, I feel like typically people just get frustrated with it because, English is their second language or something like that. It's like, it would almost just be better done over email. I'm typically fine with email. Stuff is usually never that urgent for me. With the chatbots, though, it's like, I feel like I'm technically savvy enough technologically savvy enough that if I need customer support, it's like, because I've tried, I've gone through all the reasonable like things already.
Right.
And so that's why like the chatbot is never able to solve it for me, because they're literally just regurgitating like the FAQ section or something.
Right.
And it's like,
no, completely agree. I do agree with you though. I feel like I am hoping for just a Siri revamp.
I mean, I guess you could kind of say Siri is typical or similar to those systems. It's like you can, hey, how can I help you today? She kind of does that. I don't know. But I mean, surely they're not just like putting a chat bot into iOS. It's that you just like are chatting with, like on Snapchat's like AI thing.
I mean, I never use it, so
exactly.
I have no
idea. It's like it's just
My
literally
is, how do I disable it?
Chat. It's a chat bot. Yeah, right. That's all I got. They're also working with Google though to potentially offer their AI model as an option too, which just seems like a conflict of interest. But
yeah, that's
something interesting did happen though. So in my car, when I plug my phone in, I have like Apple CarPlay, and so while my phone's plugged into my car, all of the messages and phone calls and stuff go through like the dash on the car. And I got a text, and it was a picture, it was a photograph, and it said, "This person sent a photograph of a white cat on a brown wooden floor with blue eyes." And it was like that's what they sent. It was like,
that's cool, but like I don't know where the data is being processed or what, but like I don't know that I want my car to know that.
No, it wasn't the car.
Know.
I was just saying it's Apple. That app,
yeah.
Like my iPhone did
like
that.
It's part of CarPlay, I guess.
No. You're missing the point.
Okay, I apologize.
Like that's part of like the iPhone can do that now.
Yeah.
It can interpret your image and read out what it is. It just it read it out loud because I had my phone plugged into my car.
Oh, I get what you're saying.
If you asked it to read out that image, or if you had your headphones,
it would do the same
or
thing.
Something. Yeah. So it's not CarPlay. Like it's in iOS now already. Like But yeah, that's definitely a new update, and I don't know when they did that, but
yeah, I didn't even know that it did do that. But that's cool.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's definitely like an application of AI, but it's like fix Siri.
Yeah, no, totally agree. We've had the same shit for I don't know 10 years. Anyway, moving into everyone's favorite segment, Recess. A little bit of a rebranding here because we figured out that we weren't just pulling things off of Reddit all the time. But this is our findings of the funniest, dumbest memes on the internet that came across our feed this week. And it could span from Twitter, Reddit, anywhere that we get our information. But it's just a lighthearted, funny segment. I have another one for you guys for this. It's the reason why people are not having kids anymore. Let me, again, this is another screen share situation.
This is a record number of videos we've had played on the podcast.
I know.
Is this like a new format? Are we gonna compete? Will it show up on our?
Yeah, it'll show up. Anyway, why aren't people having kids anymore?
Why aren't people having kids anymore? Because no one has a spare $300,000. It's the same reason I haven't bought a sapphire mine recently. It's just a tad too expensive. I don't want to spend money on a kid. I freeze my bread to make it last longer. I'm cheap. Look, it's not even a joke. It's just a good tip. I don't even spend the fake money I earn in video games. Here's a better question. Why did the people who had kids before choose to make it feel impossible to have kids now? And how can they help fix that? The closest I'm going to get to having kids is rewatching the first season of Stranger Things. But who's going to take care of you when you're old? I don't know. Probably an AI android with a voice just different enough from Scarlett Johansson's for it to be legal.
I just felt like that perfectly summed up everything that we've been talking about today.
Yeah, that was nice.
And we're always constantly talking about like how everything's expensive and stuff, but I had so much fun with that. I thought it was great. I really only have one other thing for recess this week, and I just wanted to get your guys' thoughts on it. So, dating apps, I don't use them. Maddox, you've never used them. Jackson, have you used dating apps before?
Yes, I have actually in college.
What are your general thoughts? Positive?
I think
negative?
they're really fun to use. I think the swiping is really fun. That's the most I got out of dating apps because I'm still single.
But not necessarily. Okay. I wanted to get Jared's opinion too, but obviously he ditched us tonight. Here's what I found. There is a woman who went on 6 dates a week to save money on food and says she didn't buy groceries for 2 years.
Very impressive.
Are we mad about it, or are we like mad that we didn't think of this?
So I saw this.
Well,
I see a lot of the reaction from like men is like, this is the problem with dating apps, which I mean, this is one example.
Yeah.
But if a lot of people are doing this, then yeah, this is the problem with dating apps, you know?
This is my take. If you are willing to sit through dinner with a rando stranger,
yeah, potentially
you
shitty
deserve
dinner,
and you're willing to do that every single night,
yeah,
you deserve those meals.
Honestly, fair. And this lady does
also, and if
go ahead,
there's a bunch of men out there willing to pay for a meal for a chance at something down the road.
It's also,
have at it.
I don't know, like, would you rather her, get a free meal from a bunch of different men, or get a, like, have one man spend thousands on her? Like, what would the red pill man that's like mad at this woman be more mad about?
That's an interesting dichotomy. Like, what if she just started dating a guy that she didn't like at all?
Yeah,
that was just like she was like a gold digger or whatever.
I think that happens a lot, right?
Is that worse?
I don't know.
But it's like, which one's worse? Is spreading the
right, like $40 from 1,000 men versus 1,000's excessive. $40 from 300 men versus what's the math there? $12,000 from one man.
I think that doing it to one man would be the worst.
I think so too.
Thing to do.
I actually think what she did is perfectly fine. Like, she hustled. Also, you got to get that many dates, I do think the funniest part about this was she clarified at the end of the article, or end of her interview, that she is not on dating apps only to get free food, that she does believe in finding love. And I'm just like, but lady, you just told us you went on 6 dates a week. That's nuts. That's crazy.
That's just impressive to me. I could not do that myself.
Yeah.
No matter how hungry I was.
Yeah. Well, that was all I had for this week. Do you guys have anything else that you guys wanted to mention or wrap up with?
I saw a TikTok account that I wanted to bring up. It's called Epic Pisses. Have you guys seen this?
I have not, but I'm very curious because
seems like it might be up my alley.
Be showing us right now.
It's literally just clips of, when the first ones I watched, it was 2 men sword fighting. There's no genitals in the video. It's just streams of urine is all you can see. But it's streams of urine and then like beautiful scenic landscape backgrounds.
What?
And that's the whole account. And there's like hundreds of these videos, and they have like millions and millions of views.
So it's literally piss on an epic background.
Yeah, it's like the most epic places to take a piss, essentially. And sometimes
That's
there's
one
two
thing
guys
I
doing
like
it,
about
doing a sword
TikTok
fight, or
is that there's
just
all these
one
like
guy doing
sort
it.
of creative outlets for, or it's just all different types of content. Like, you know, you might have something very unique and you watch it and I'm like, wow, you know, I didn't know I would have never looked for this on my own, but this came across my For You page and now I'm fascinated by it.
Yeah, like I didn't know that I was really into pisses in Maddox's case, I guess.
Also, my question is, why are we doing this podcast and why are we all not just taking pisses
Pissing?
together? Like, that content is done significantly
This is
better.
horrible. This is horrendous. What's going on right now? I mean, you're right. They've got millions of views because people really like piss content, apparently. What? Okay, we're moving on. We're moving on. Thank you guys for watching this episode. As always, if you want to interact with us, the professors, and talk about current events as they're happening, make sure to join the classroom on Discord. The link is down below. Make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel to watch the video version of this podcast. Make sure you follow Maddox at Maddox_Southard and at Hannah_and_Maddox on both YouTube and TikTok. Thank you guys for watching this episode. And class is now dismissed.